Welcome to the first session of the Pallid Man Triptych. Thank you for joining us today. And I'd like to start with a few details about the competition we're going to run. So during this streamed event live, we will offer up a challenge just before break. And if you want to be in with a win, want to be in with a chance to win a digital code for the Cortex role-playing game that we are using today, please make sure you're a member of the Chaotic Neutral Discord channel and Discord server, and we will point you in the direction of where you can find the clues to solve tonight's little mystery. And the first person to come back with the correct answer will be awarded that code for the Cortex Prime digital handbook. So, with that little bit of an announcement garbled and out of the way, let's bring the players in. To which I am now going to assume they are all on screen, because obviously the stream takes a second to catch up. Why did I look? Okay, so welcome everybody. Thanks for coming back after last week's session 0 briefing. We're going to go for the story itself. We're going to get going in a moment, but we've asked everybody to come up with whether or not their characters are tardy or punctual by nature. I don't expect you to go through all those answers again, but just while we get everybody back into character, I'll go around and ask each of you what your character's approach to punctuality is. I'm going to go clockwise by my screen. Helen will therefore be up first. Oh, I'm sorry, Helen. Yes, it's Helen, Corinne, Dave, and then it'll be Spider last.
So my character likes to be prepared, so she's usually early.
Okay. Corinne, how about your character?
Yeah, Natalie. Also, Simon, me and Helen on the wrong places. We're swapped. My character is very eager, so she's very early. Oh, not very early, but at least like 15 minutes early. Be there.
Cool. Dave, how's your approach to, and again with your character Eugene, not personal.
Eugene's approach is basically he always intends to be on time, and he always has good intentions, which get waylaid by the nearest bar, the nearest bottle, and the nearest punch up.
And then down to Spider with JD. How does JD handle being on time?
I mean, in her head, she's always on time to wherever she wants to be.
What does that mean?
It means sometimes she's early, sometimes she's late in other people's eyes, but to her, she's just where she needs to be.
Literate Hermit has added, a wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he needs to. It sounds like JD is in that kind of category.
JD is a wizard with a camera.
Okay. So I've updated character sheets, tried to reset the stresses that you guys faced last time. There have been a couple of changes to people's characters' skills as they've requested them. So all that should be fine. There are a couple of extra handouts that you guys have got access to now. So some of you will have a little bit more information to go in and have a look at. And I'm going to, this was kind of a last minute decision, but I'm going to mix up how I actually wanted to start the game. So do bear with me while I now adapt mentally the order that things are going to happen. Not that anybody needs to know that, but there we go. So what we'll be doing is starting with Corinne and Dave. So we're going to be looking at Nat and Eugene for a part of this scene, and then we're going to switch back to JD and to Robin, who will be having a scene together as well. So I'm going to start with Corinne and Dave, but Corinne will probably be the first actor. And if Dave and Corinne can just check the handouts, you'll notice that Dave has a new case, and Corinne, Nat has a big story opportunity. Have you guys got those?
Yes, some fancy banker took Swan to dive off the Crocker's First National. Okay.
So you'll find that whenever I do one of these handwritten notes, it's for flavor mostly, and beneath it, the text has been typed out in more legible sense.
Yes.
Thank you.
So
So these guys have
took
got
a swan dive off the roof of the park, but yes,
Yeah.
I assume like someone must be spelling and crossing.
yeah, basically, you get this from one of the runners that you've used, one of the kids from the street that you've known. They come to you with a scoop. You could be the first one to respond to this story, and you happen to be close enough that you're going to be maybe the first reporter on the scene. Dave, the same bank have been in touch with you. So your note is Mr. Elwoods from from Crocker First National Bank called and wants to hire your services again. Now, they're asking for you to be there by 10 a.m., which is why I thought Corinne would probably be there first with with Nat.
I think Eugene probably sets off at 9 and saunters in just gone 10:15.
Sure. So on the for those that are hurriedly joining the Discord server for the potential of this competition, they'll find that in the Pallid Man channel there are a few videos of the streets of San Francisco, true to the era, and they can see sort of the transport that you're probably using. So there's pictures of trams and some cars and stuff. I don't know whether or not Dave has that available to him. Corinne, though,
I do.
Do you drive?
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant as in the videos. Yeah.
I'll leave that to you to decide.
I don't know. I don't know actually whether Eugene has. I don't think he has his own car. I think he gets cabs most places, to be honest.
Also,
When he has the money and walks, yeah.
And again, the trams are relatively cheap enough that people can jump on and off when they need to. So let's go with Nat. Nat, you turn up at the Crocker First National Bank. There's a police cordon around the front, and there are gawkers and hangers-on. Now, let me just see if I can remember how to do this. Can I drag a person to? Yes.
Oh.
So Dave and sorry, let's go with character names. Eugene and Nat have been moved across to a separate page on the Roll20 board. So they're seeing things that Helen and Spider can't. No offense. So what you'll see is that each of the individual areas within a scene, I'm going to break those down into separate cards. Each card has 3 bullet points on. Those bullet points are additional distinctions that you can choose from. I will be dragging Spider and Helen to their scene, so they've at least got something they're looking at in the meantime. Okay. So at the first Crocker First National Bank in San Francisco, there's a police presence. They have closed the bank, and there are a lot of gawkers around the streets looking around, seeing what's happening. I've also dropped a card for the bank foyer, but for now, Corinne, Nat's not going to be able to get into the bank until you press some advantage to get through the police cordon. So I've got both of your cards on there on the first shot of this scene, which is outside the bank. We'll go with Corinne first, and Dave, when you feel that it's suitable that you've arrived, we'll bring you into the scene. Corinne, take a look around the bank. What's Nat up to?
She's currently asking some questions to the people around, because she knows she won't get much from the police force. So obviously people witnessed this. So she was asking some people around what was going on, if they saw anything interesting, and just noting it all down. What is? She will do some queries to the people people guarding and see if anyone wants to anyone particularly bored that will talk, or if they're just kind of ignoring her.
Okay. So questioning witnesses first of all.
Yeah.
So there's a number of people that are gawking and watching. They're gathering around the police cordon, and there are ladies shocked and in horror at the mess that's being tidied up by the meat wagon. There's a few pedestrians that are just rubbernecking to look at the deceased as they're taken away under a very stained cloth, and you're being people are showing interest, but they're not really noticing that you're there until you start to sort of pester them a bit.
Yeah. Do you want me to roll anything for it?
I'm just looking for you to basically accost and get somebody's attention and get them to start talking to you. So strike up a conversation.
Yes,
Who do you see? What kind of person are you approaching first?
I will first approach an onlooker who I want to see if there's just someone who's quite close and is not afraid, and because I think they will talk more than the people that are just kind of looking and then running away. Someone who seems to be wanting to get closer and or I guess gotten a bit close to.
Sure. Okay. So there's a fairly big guy that's taking up the space of two people at this cordon, and he's just like leaning over and trying to make out what's going on, and then you sort of sidle up alongside and reach up to tap him on the shoulder, and he turns around and looks down and says, "Yeah, what do you want? What do you want?"
Hi, my name's Nat. Did you see what happened?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, to be sure. The guy off the top of the roof, he fell. He took a nosedive straight into the street.
Like what? He was diving the river or like a bath or something.
He was like flailing around. Blah.
Oh, okay.
His arms windmill in the air, almost knocking you over as he tries to emulate what the banker did on the way down.
Oh, that's. Did you know it?
Do I look like I have an account at this bank? And this guy is looking, like a dock worker maybe, or the kind. And this
I don't judge.
This is a very sorry.
I said, hey, I don't judge.
So yeah, he's not rolling in money,
yeah.
and therefore doesn't have business at this high financial institution.
Yeah. Yes.
To be fair, he is passing through this area, possibly trying to find work or something. But yeah, he's not really trying to stop. But this is, literally street entertainment, and he's just gawking and trying to make some sort of entertainment for himself out of this. Something he can tell his mates when he catches up with them at the dock.
Yeah. Okay, he just jumped off. Well, how did he get up there in the first place? Is there like a roof place where you can walk out, or did he jump out a window?
Look, and he points up to this the top of the building. It looks pretty flat up there. I don't know. I guess I've done maintenance work. I'm guessing that the building's got maintenance access to the roof, and probably it's flat up there. It's a flat roof building.
Okay, well, thank you. And I've done some notes while he was doing that. I will now try and see.
Wait, you're writing this down. What are you writing this down for? Am I in trouble?
No, not at all. It's just for myself, for my own things, for my own benefit.
Suspicious. Write things down.
Yes. I don't even know your name, buddy.
Oh, Roscoe.
Roscoe. Yes. Yes. I won't mention you. Don't worry.
And some of the others overhearing that you're starting to ask questions turn and say, "Oh yeah, it was terrible, wasn't it? Were you here when he jumped?
Did he say anything when he jumped?
He kind of screamed as he fell. But
Okay.
no, it was horrifying. I mean, I didn't see he was up there, but all of a sudden people were pointing and screaming, and then splat. Oh, ugh. And the lady in question is quite upset.
Mm. Yeah. Did you know him? Or...
My father banks here, but I don't have an account, so I don't know anybody here now.
Okay.
But then one of the finer dressed people on the street starts to speak up. I don't know who it is, but the bank being closed is a delay that I cannot stand. When will they be opening the doors? This is intolerable. Are you with the bank?
No.
I'm with the bank.
Are you?
And Eugene wanders up. What's going on here? That's not the accent I'm going to stick with, I don't think. Yeah, what's happening? What's happening here? What's going on? I've just arrived. I'm here to investigate. The bank have hired me. I'm the investigator on this. Tell me what's going on. What's happening?
Who are you asking about, Dave? We have somebody that's been
wandering up to the crowd.
Okay. Well, you notice there's a young lady taking notes, and
do we like? I mean, obviously we did the session 0 thing, and none of that was really backstory. But like, have we got any connection to each other in character, or are we all brand new?
At this point, no. You're all unless you specify. Sorry, 1 second.
Yep.
Yeah. Somebody, it was Edward. Yeah. Yes. Sorry, guys. We had a call come through on every device in the house, which was just interrupting for a second.
Okay, so I will walk straight up to Corinne then.
Sorry, yes. So
JD,
just to answer your question more directly, Dave, you can spend a plot point if you wish, or otherwise establish that you guys have worked on something together before, or otherwise it's just role play into meeting each other for the first time.
I think meeting for the first time. So I'll walk up to see that you're taking notes and be like, oh, are you investigating this too? I was told that I was going to be investigating this. Seems a bit silly to be repeating the same activity over and over.
Do I know you?
No, I'm asking if you've been hired by the bank as well to investigate. I was told that I was the investigator for this.
Oh, I'm just a reporter.
Eugene Kerrigan, private detective.
Oh, hi, Nat Lewis, reporter for.
Oh,
the call bulletin.
I see. Well, I'd like to. I hope that you would be very delicate in the notes that you take here and the investigation that you do here. Obviously, we don't want people to start. And I'm doing this in front of the entire crowd. We don't want people to start panicking and think that their money wouldn't be safe here anymore because of this accident. So if you could be discreet in what you end up reporting on, or at least make sure you don't put something in there that's too embarrassing for the bank. After all,
don't you worry. Also, it looks more like a suicide, and that's normally not something other people need to worry about.
I'm not saying that anything else happened here. I've only just arrived and started this investigation. But yes, perhaps we wait until we've had the full story, and perhaps we could work together in this investigation to make sure we're on the same page.
Corinne, this sounds to Nat like the perfect inroad to get into the bank. If he is actually here on official bank business, and you tag along as his assistant, that's guaranteed you get into the bank at least.
Yes. Do you mind? Do you want an assistant?
I'm sure that an extra pair of eyes is always useful in an investigation. So I would welcome your assistance, yes.
Thank you.
So, right, where are we? What has actually happened here? I can see this body in front of me. Do we have any indication of when this happened? who saw it, if anybody saw it.
Are you asking? Sorry, I thought you were still.
I'm aiming this at Corinne. So.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were aiming.
Sorry, putting you on the spot. But yeah, I mean, if are there any other officials of the bank actually out here at the minute, Mike?
Okay, so let's say that your guy that's called in and for you is waiting by the door, but there are police officers and like I say, the police cordon around the entrance of the bank trying to keep people back, that kind of thing. So the officials that you're looking at the minute are police officers, and these are common bobbies, just street officers, no detectives or anything. We'll just say 2 or 3 of them out here just questioning the crowd and keeping people back. And then your contact at the bank was Mr. Elwoods.
I'm going to go to one of the bobbies that are here and ask if they've actually had any useful tips or information given to them so far.
Now it seems at the minute like everybody's just either they didn't notice him jump, or if they noticed him on the roof, they only just reacted before he did jump. It looks pretty much straightforward. The guy was probably stressed by the yeah.
Has anybody been up to the roof?
I definitely caught a couple of guys saying that they saw him on the roof when he took his tumble.
I think we should get up there and have a look at that. What do you think? JD, was it?
No,
not JD. I'm slightly drunk. I apologize. Nat, that was it.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go take a look from the top, shall we?
Yes.
Right. So I'm going to, with my assistant, stride into the bank as though I own the place.
Okay. Well, Elwoods is sort of puntering along behind you as you sort of burst into the foyer. You see that there are a number of the staff are just gathered, huddled together, or just chit-chatting amongst themselves. It's a well-lit, airy, kind of comfortable place for people to do business and transactions, but it's made a little bit more on edge by the current circumstances. And of course, there's still police here as well, so you've got a couple more officers sort of going around questioning staff, getting details, and generally trying to keep and people keep sending me messages and stuff. I need to put my phone on do not disturb, but then that might cut you guys off. Yeah, so you're enter into the bank. Elwood's chuntering along behind you and saying, thank you for coming along. Please follow me. So is this lady with you?
Yes, she's going to be helping me with this investigation.
Yes.
We've already began taking notes and doing a thorough investigation outside. So we would like access to the roof so that we can see exactly where this man jumped from.
Understood. Okay. Well, first let's go to the manager's office. We'll discuss all the details that we're aware of and where our concern lies and kind of what it is we want you to be looking into.
Well, I would have assumed you were looking into his death, but yes, of course, if there's something else you wish for us to investigate, lead on, my good fellow.
Okay. So Elwood takes the manager's office where you can still see the occasional police officer walking past in the corridors as you go upstairs. But Elwood draws you into his office, finds a second chair for you to sit in, leans in and starts to explain their concern. When something like this happens, the bank has to take it seriously, of course. We're concerned for our staff, and we're concerned for Noel Collins, the poor gentleman that
Noel or
Noel, N-O-E-L, Noel.
Noel Colin. Colin or Collins.
Colin.
With a K.
Colin, C-O-L-L-I-N.
2 L's.
Yeah, apparently so. Yes.
No S at the end.
If he owns
Just
something,
Colin.
then I'll stick an S on the end.
Okay.
Our primary concern is the reputation of the bank.
But surely the man's life is important as well.
the police are looking into the circumstances of his death. We need to make sure that there were no scandals that drew him to commit this act of suicide. If there are financial details that are relevant for our clients, then we need to know what it is that's drawn this man's life to an end. What would push him to do something like this, and why would he do it here on the bank's grounds? If it wasn't to do with our business, maybe he would have done it somewhere else.
Okay, which part of your business are you most worried about that he would be involved in that could be scandalous to you?
Well, if there's embezzlement, fund redirecting, double books, bookkeeping issues.
Embezzlement and double booking, okay. What exactly is double booking? I'm not a banker, I don't understand.
No, if he has double sets of books. So
two sets of books, wouldn't that just be thorough?
Where one set has the real accounts and the other set has false accounts. Potentially he could be using that to raise.
Doesn't that just come under embezzlement? Aren't we just like calling the same thing twice?
I'm no expert in these criminal matters, of course.
Neither am I.
About your experience.
I'm not a criminal. I have no experience with these criminal matters. Any rumor to my mob connections is just that, a rumor. No one said anything about that.
Very good. What I would be interested in is knowing what you can find out about any misdealings that Noel was involved in. Misdealings.
Okay, but surely, right? Okay, surely you knew what accounts he was working on, and there is one or two which you're most worried about. It would be
he did deal with a number of our more prominent business clients. If you were to speak to his assistant, she'll get you his most recent accounts.
What's his assistant's name?
And asking names that quick. That would be Jeanette Farthinghoe. She will be sitting outside his office now.
Jeanette. JeaneTte.
You write it down how you need to.
Was that Hastings?
No, it was Farthinghoe, but yeah. Playing into that drunken role.
I may have had one or two. Sorry, Farthingale.
Farthinghoe.
Farthing. Okay, got it. Yes, marvelous. All right, well, we'll have a look at that. Sorry, I almost forgot. Nat, did you have any questions?
At the moment, yes, it did. My brain, sorry. No, at the moment I'm just happy following. Did you notice any strange behavior from what was the name of the deceased? Sorry.
Noel. His name was Noel Colliner. That's a very good question, Matt. You're good at this.
Thank you.
Strange behavior.
Yeah, any strange behavior?
Behavior. Nothing unusual over the last few days. Nothing that struck me as concerning, which is why I'm more worried now.
Nothing concerning.
Nothing concerning, just normal every day.
Yeah, he was punctual. He maintained an air of professionalism every day. He was well loved by the staff, and
seemed to enjoy his work.
Yes, very dedicated to the bank. A conscientious member of the redecorating committee, and he's involved in many of the social events around the bank as well.
Redecorating committee.
Yes, we're going to be going through a renovation of the interior of the bank soon.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, that's strange. Has he? So he hasn't gone anywhere over the last few days. Is this, what day is it, Mike?
So this is Thursday morning.
Thursday morning. He hasn't been on holiday, just normal.
I think last night, and then we're going to cut away to a memory scene.
Oh.
Oh, woo.
Ooh.
Helen and Spider, which of you would be at the auction first?
Me.
I think if only because you got in and said that first. So, okay. Robin is at the auction where her brother's last 3 paintings are going to be sold. This is going to be a small charity event, a few select guests, but there are a number of fine art items to be sold apart from your brother's paintings. So it's not all about your brother. This is just your ticket into the event. You're here with Warren, who is your brother's agent. Warren, is it Warren Parker? Palmer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Warren, in fact, yeah, I've got why I'm asking, I've got that on screen. Warren Palmer is not your date as such, but you know, he's here because he obviously has an invested interest in this as well. And so he's touting the artwork that you guys are hoping to sell. So he's steering interested parties across to the display. He has, you know, time now and again to come over and chat with you, see how you're doing. But you're given the opportunity to mingle with the others. And as people are beginning to arrive, you spot that the auction house has set up a promotional photographer to come in and take pictures of the crowds, the artwork. The patrons, as they purchase items, will be able to have their photo taken with whatever it is that they've bought on their way out. So that's where I bring JD into the scene. So Spider, are you setting up your equipment? Are you using tripods or anything like that? Have you got an area that you want to be dedicated to you? So you were asked by Miss Lenora Clayton to come along and snap promotional photos of patrons enjoying the party and admiring the paintings. That's kind of your brief.
I'm thinking she's got, or at least I've got something set up, but I'm not around it 24/7 during this.
Yeah, so
like,
you're not
a
anchored to that.
workstation, but I kind of move around as much as my equipment lets me.
Yeah. So this is, I'm just flashing for the players a picture of Warren for you guys to see. Okay, so you've got an area set up with some of your equipment, but you've also got a camera that you're walking around and taking more candid shots in and amongst the crowds. Is that kind of what you're saying? Yeah, okay. And you're willing to put the camera down and do some mingling as well. You don't have to be a photographer every minute of this proceeding.
I think after a while, it'll be a bit, I can't get the perfect shots, and they're all turning into kind of almost the same sort of thing. So yeah, does just kind of put it down a little bit, mingle. Yeah.
Well, before the actual auction itself, people are mingling, they're admiring the artwork, kind of sizing up what they might have an interest in. There are a number of different parties that are here, some groups, some individuals, some couples. Not just the patrons, but obviously there's wait staff walking around with drinks and aperitifs and other items for them to enjoy. And there are even some other artists that are here, and Warren isn't alone in being the only agent in the room. So is there a specific shot that you really want to make sure you get, something that's going to be that iconic photo that you'll take away and be able to, you know, the auction house will get the money's worth for?
I think of an exceptionally like picturesque people looking at some of the things being on show and just in awe of them.
Yeah. So
just
you're looking for that.
Just to show like how amazing it is to be there, sort of thing.
Sure. That awe moment, that glow of appreciation of artwork, the studious moment of appreciation. Well, one of the people that you notice kind of having that learned understanding of what the artwork means is a young lady in black, possibly even mourning wear, who is walking around between the paintings and the other artwork exhibits, and that would be Robin, Helen's character. Do you wish to ask them if it's okay for you to take their photo?
No, just take the photo.
So Robin's sort of lost in a picture, steps back into JD. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, I.
Are you okay?
It's just seeing all of this work together with my brothers. It's quite overwhelming.
Oh, so your brother made some?
He's got 3 pictures here. His last 3 works, I believe.
Last 3? Oh, I'm sorry. Did he stop painting or making?
He died.
Oh, I am so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
She puts her hand on her shoulder, like, do you need, like, the kitchen might have some gelato. It's really nice here.
Ice cream will fix it.
Ice cream fixes everything.
That does sound lovely. Thank you.
Oh, okay, come on, let's and she kind of leads her towards the kitchen in a
As you're heading that direction, somebody kind of walking the opposite direction notices how upset Robin is, and they lean in and check as well. Oh my dear, oh dear, oh, are you okay? Oh my, oh honey, it's not that bad. Please, you okay?
Yeah, no.
This fairly nicely dressed party-going young lady leans in and offers you a handkerchief and stops one of the waiters going by and pulls a drink and presses it into your hand. It's champagne, but I'm sure it will lift your mood.
Thank you. Very kind.
She looks from Robin to JD. Is your friend? Let's find you somewhere to sit, and the 3 of you sort of hobble you across to a chair against the wall, and have you sat down for a moment. And this lady turns to JD and says, "Are you a member of the staff here?"
I'm just the photographer.
You see her eyes light up at that, but then she tries to like contain her excitement for a moment as she realizes that we're dealing with a bereaved friend of yours. But that's wonderful. That's wonderful. But sorry, I'm Cecile. My husband's here somewhere. But what's the matter with? Sorry, your friend's name was.
I was just talking to her. She didn't actually tell me.
Oh my! Oh, Robin, darling, please. And she sort of rubs your back and tries to make you more comfortable.
I'm sorry.
What is it, Robin? Oh dear. Oh dear.
I possibly shouldn't have come, but Warren said it would be good for me to see
Oh, is your husband Warren?
No, he's my brother's agent.
Oh, should
Sorry.
we fetch him? Should we fetch him? Are you
No,
going to be
no.
okay, Robin?
Yeah, I'd be fine if I could
Okay.
just. Maybe I could just have a few minutes with this lovely
Oh.
lady. Thank you for your. Oh, may I have your address so I can return your handkerchief?
Oh, we will do better than that, please. If you're going to return my handkerchief, please come for brunch. We'll see to it that we have a chance to talk properly. Robin, oh, my heart goes out to you, darling.
That's very kind of you. Please, may I come find you a bit later?
Sure. Take a moment, darling. Try not to rush the champagne.
No.
She turns to JD, not yet knowing her name, but says, let's step away for a moment. Maybe you could come take my photo. And she lights up again at that idea.
I'm not. See, I promised her ice cream. I can't really go back on that.
Oh, 1 second then. And she flags down one of the waiters. This lady here needs ice cream now. Yes, now. Thank you. And he scurries away. Well,
Okay
and this
then.
gentleman over here needs some Jack Daniels. Can you get him that as well?
Okay then, I guess. She puts her hand on her oh my goodness, my brain
Robin.
and words. Thank you.
That's okay.
Puts her hand on Robin's forearm, like it's okay. I'll just be over there if you need me.
You want ice cream? I'll be over there.
Yeah, as we step away, your ice cream arrives. 3-4 scoops in a bowl, and plenty of napkins as well. So, JD, you've been taking photos already. Sorry, I don't know your name yet. We'll assume we do the introductions, etc.
Yeah. I do introduce myself at some point. It's fine. Yes, I've been doing a couple of photos, more candid types, a couple of just portraits. If you want to come over here, I can take your picture.
Oh, thank you. And she strikes a fairly artificial pose for you to take a picture. Like this.
Try move your arm slightly, just
She
relax
does, and
a little.
as she does, she goes, "Oh, Noel, darling, come here, quick."
Takes a picture as she does that.
Yeah, that's about the most natural picture you'll get of this
Yes.
peacock of a girl. So this young lady calls over a gentleman in probably his late 50s, and then is draped over his arm the minute he's close enough. Now he seems somewhat distracted, looking around at the artwork in the hall, but he eventually sort of clocks that you're there. Now I have got photos for these people, so for your benefit. So this is Cecile.
So she's
kind of
what,
guessing
mid-ish 20s?
Yeah, so I'm guessing you guys have all got access to these photos. Simon has them, and we'll be posting them to the chat afterwards.
Where are they turning up? Because if you're putting them on the screen where Helen and Spider are, me and Corinne are on the other screen.
That makes sense. I wasn't sure how that worked on Roll20, but yeah. So Helen and Spider see these, but because Dave and Corinne are on the other screen, they don't see them. And then I have a photo of.
Oh, I think I've clicked out of it by accident.
Which is fine. If the picture's gone, don't worry, that's okay.
Okay.
And then
So
Just make sure
Cecile
I've got-
is what, mid-20s, sort of blonde hair, very pretty. What's she
Yeah.
wearing?
So she's in a very fine party dress with long sequins, maybe in a silvery blue kind of outfit.
Okay, so this is a proper black tie event, is it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, okay.
I pitched you as being in kind of black mourning still
Yeah, yeah.
over your brother. Also
Yeah.
respect because this respect because this is kind of, you know, his artwork. And this is
Yeah.
the gentleman that she is married to. This is Noel.
So what, his 50s, greyish
Yeah.
hair, sort of
Yeah.
salt and pepper beard, nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Not unattractive.
Yeah, he's a nice looking guy. If you catch him this side of the pavement impact.
That's not fair.
No
eventually-
research for you, Helen.
Don't have that skill.
So eventually Noel kind of front and centers and clocks the fact that his wife's trying to introduce him to somebody who totally missed what your name was, in a kind of gentle bumbling sense, but also you see you're catching a little bit of a manic kind of obsession with trying to get back to looking at the painting. Sorry, darling. Yes, I am here on business, of course. I'd like to focus on what's available tonight. And he turns to walk away. She hangs onto his arm and insists, "We must get a photo together while this lady is still taking snaps of us." And he said, "Maybe later, darling. Maybe later." And he does manage to disentangle himself and pull away. I'm sorry. My husband's all business tonight. We're both here on behalf of the redecorating committee, and I'm hopeful that he won't spend too much money, but leave some for the finer details that we'll be using in the bank. Now, you must tell me, do you do this professionally, or is this just a sideline for you, darling?
Professional.
Wow, that's very admirable. Well done to you.
There's a lot of beauty in this world, and I want to.
She sort of really glows as you say that. I think you're speaking very specifically about people you're here with.
Someone specific, I guess.
She's very touched that your mention of beauty in her presence. Well, thank you very much for saying so. This is it's a very fine event. I mean, not everybody here is as fortunate, of course. There are some from the other districts of the city, but yeah, we're very pleased with the turnout, of course, for the charity.
Yes. So,
Go, sorry, please. Yes.
are you okay? My brain's just gone. I'm sorry.
Well, I apologize. I probably interrupted you there. My thought was that as your friend Robin will be coming for brunch tomorrow, maybe you'd be able to join her. Would you be free tomorrow for, say, 11s?
Oh, yes, it will be delightful.
Fantastic. Would you maybe be able to bring the photos you've taken of me too?
Oh, of course, I can. Well, it takes a bit of time to get them.
Well, that would be
Printed
lovely
and-
then. Thank you.
Not taking no for an answer. I get it.
Of course, I'm not. You did say this is a profession for you, so I'm not asking for freebies here. If you have any photos of me or my husband, I'll be very interested in, of course, paying you for those.
No, it's fine. Why don't you two stand over there by that painting? I think the colors would help pop your outfit. It just works nicely. Just stand there and I'll take a nice one, and you can have it if I've got it all sorted by then.
Sure. So she tries to get her husband to turn and face you, but Noel's dithering, and eventually she gets him to turn, but you can see it's not going to really be a very good one. Kind of in your mind, you're thinking maybe you'll catch something after the auction. One of the things you have been asked to do after all is to get the patrons to pose with the purchases they make. Maybe you can pin him down at that point. With all this going on, there are a number of other patrons that are starting to move through to the auction hall itself, and Noel realizes that they have called for everyone to take their seats. He now is engaged in dragging Cecile away rather than her pinning him down, and they walk through to the auction hall itself. Switching back to Dave and Corinne. So yes, they would have been involved in there was an art auction last night. I mean, that's not exactly unusual behavior. He turns to Nat and says, not exactly unusual behavior, nothing strange about that, but it's at least unique, as in it's not every night they would do something like that.
No, but does he have an interest in the arts?
Again, as part of the redecorating committee, the pair of them were taking on looking for artwork that we could hang in the foyer.
Yes.
Did he pick any art out for that?
Obviously, I haven't had a chance to speak to him, and unfortunately, I don't think I will now. But the best thing maybe to do is to check with his secretary. She'd be able to tell you, Miss Farthinghoe.
Miss Farthinghoe, yeah. Okay, well, I don't know about you, Nat, but I would still like to take a look up at the roof.
Yes.
And then maybe we should talk to Miss Farthinghoe and see what she has to say.
Very good.
Yes, it seems to be very odd that he would just jump off the roof. Do you think anyone could have pushed him? But no one else saw anyone up there, did they?
When you were interviewing the witnesses, nobody mentioned other people on the roof.
Yeah.
So yes. Can you show us to the roof?
I'll have one of our maintenance guys take you up there. 1 second. And Elwood steps away. A few minutes later, he returns with one of the dressed down maintenance guys, and he gets them to escort you up to the roof. So
as the maintenance guy arrives, I will immediately put my hand out and go, Eugene Kerrigan, what's your name, my good man?
So he gives you a name as soon as I can load it up on screen. Oh, well, why not? Let's just go with Carl.
Carl.
Carl here.
Solid name, Carl.
Yeah. Carl is a aged old guy. He's been with the bank since he was a kid, working through different roles. They're keeping him on just because he knows how to work the boiler in the winters, and it's nice to have somebody that knows the place before you were even born, kind of thing.
Old veteran of the bank. Okay. All right then, Carl, show us up to this roof. Okay,
so Carl leads you up very slowly, doddering a little bit, but he finds the right key after about the 15th. No, it's not locked. Of course it isn't. The police are already out there. Puts the key back on his belt, opens the door wide.
One second, Carl. Are you telling me that the door to this roof is ordinarily locked? That's why you have a key for it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's only unlocked right now. Was it locked before the police arrived today? Did you have to unlock it for the police?
Oh, you make a good point. You know what? It was unlocked when I went up.
It was already unlocked?
Yeah.
Who would have access to the keys, Carl?
I think there's a spare set for the managerial use. They've got access to any area in the bank.
Would the deceased Mr. Collin, would he be allowed access to those keys? Do you know?
I think, yeah, I think he could sign those out.
So he could get them himself. We'll have to
Yeah.
have a look at those signing logs later to see whether he did indeed sign those out. If that's okay.
I think I can arrange for that. Yeah. All right. Let's do the roof first, and then we'll go down and
Yes,
look at
let's go and have a look at the roof.
Sure. So he swings the door open, steps out onto the roof, holds the door for you guys. I'll keep it open because if it closes, in fact, oh look, they put a brick down. But
it's
the door
unlocked,
closes,
it's unlocked, is it not? Is there
yeah,
no handle on this side?
but from the roof, you can't get access back in without the key.
Okay, so if someone were to have come up here and unlocked it, like the victim, and then jumped off the top of the building, how would the key have got back into the bank?
Well, I've not checked for the key yet.
Oh,
I mean,
yes,
this
of
is
course,
my
the
key.
spare set of keys. Well, we should perhaps see whether our friend has them on his body. I'll look into that as well. Thank you, Carl. This is very helpful. Right. Anyway, let us go and have a look at the ledge where he jumped.
Sure. So as you come out, there's a detective and a police officer doing basically the same thing. If you wish, that detective can be your contact, Dave.
Okay. Eugene's going to go over to the edge and look over and almost stumble over the edge before he catches himself and go, okay, that's a bit too high for me.
Okay.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
As you step up towards the ledge, it's short of the section that's being investigated by the detective. And I'm just going to make sure I've got his name in mind. That's Carrick. Detective Carrick is your contact at the police force.
Yes.
Carrick's door side of the area that they're investigating. So as you approach and you get close to the edge, he's the one that's got his hand on your shoulder to sort of just walk. I don't need two bodies off the side of here, Eugene.
Hey, thank you so much, my friend. I get a high-profile case. I take something for my nerves just in case. You understand?
Yeah, we know. Yes, we know what that's. Yeah, we know what you're like.
I know what I'm doing though. I still know what I'm doing. I still got nothing dulls this.
Yeah, you're still sharp as.
Still sharp as an eraser.
Yeah. Look, it's pretty straightforward. The guy jumped. Take a look. You can see where he was stood in the shale there.
Okay.
And he just took a stumble. As far as we understand it, nobody else could have been on the roof.
How is that the case? Because have you guys had a look at the body yet? What was on the body? Did he have any keys on him?
We've left that to the guys downstairs. The body's been taken back. We'll go through the pockets.
Worth checking. Look,
what
have you guys found?
To be fair, good point. No, Dave, I'm going to go back. I'm going to retcon that. You asked a good question, and that is a clue you should have access to. So I'll put that in here. Yes, we checked, and he produces I don't know if they would have used any form of baggie at that time. I don't know. So a paper bag marked evidence in the 30s. Right.
Evidence in the 30s. That's the brand of evidence bags we use at this police station. The evidence in the 30s brand evidence bags.
He opens the bag and says, "We got these keys here."
Okay.
And it's a sizable bunch of keys with multiple paper tags on.
Carl, come over here. Don't be shy, my friend. You need to ID this and verify.
Carl takes a moment to ensure that the door's not going to close on him, even though he has got the key on him, etc. He's just being careful. He wanders over and looks in the bag.
These keys. No touching. No touching. Don't tamper the evidence. But can you tell me, are these the keys to the roof?
That's the master set of keys, or the spare set of keys for the bank.
So he did have the key.
We're gonna need those back.
the police will obviously return everything after the investigation has been concluded. That's how they work. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, it might be worth getting an extra set cut though from the set you have. These investigations can take their time.
I think we have a set in the safe as well. So I'll report to Mr. Elwood that the spare set needs to be retrieved.
Okay.
And he,
So this is the theory we're working with. He comes up here, he unlocks the door himself from the set of keys that he maybe signed out himself. We're going to double check that. Gets to the edge, jumps off the building, dies down there, right? We still don't have a motive for why this guy's done it, but you're telling me, and I'm directing this, he's telling me that there's no other evidence of anyone else being up here.
I mean, again, open and shut. The guy had the keys on him. Nobody else would have had the keys. They would have still been on the roof.
Yeah, we just need to figure out why then, I suppose. Okay. What do you think, Nat?
I mean, it seems all very mysterious to me. So there are more than one set of keys, yes. Because there are multiple keys.
This is what we're hearing here, that we have the janitor, maintenance guy, professional guy, Carl. He knows his stuff. He's got a set of keys. He can get around the building with his set. There's one other set of keys. It's on the body. Seems to me that he got those keys, came up here.
Yeah, got the keys, came up here. There, as said, there hasn't been any witnessing of any other one around, which is strange. Because could he just have fallen by accident?
Yeah, still wonder why he was up here in the first place, though.
Yeah.
Very strange, very strange. I think we need to dig more into who this guy was and what he was up to, because the stuff he was working on might well inform us of his mindset in these final hours and days.
Dave, give me a general assessing the scene kind of test.
Investigative testing thing. Yeah. Okay.
This would be awareness.
So I'm going to use intellect, investigate, or do you want to use alertness?
You've not specifically said you were looking for this.
Okay.
So I'm going to go alertness, which I think is better for you anyway.
It is better for me, yeah.
Yeah.
So alertness,
but I'm going to get you to give me drink to forget, because you have definitely indicated that you were drinking a lot as a hindrance.
Hindrance, yeah, okay.
So help yourself to a plot point when
can I throw in Carrick, because he's up here, and he has pointed stuff out to me. So
yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at spotting. What are we doing? We're doing alertness, investigate, hinder. So I get a plot point for that, don't I?
Help yourself to a plot point from the deck.
Yeah, Detective Carrick. Let's have a look. No stress on the enemy, because there's no actual enemy.
It's just difficulty. Right.
What am I aiming for here?
So I rolled the difficulty just before you did. So
right, I see. Okay,
10,
so
10 for the. And you've easily done this.
I've got a 1 though. You're obviously taking that off me, I assume.
So I'll give you another plot point. Grab yourself take you to 3.
Do you want to just deal them out if you're dealing already? So. Oh, you want me to deal them myself? That's fine.
Yeah, you just grab them off the top and just add them to your hand.
That's fine.
So the D4 is no good to me. So instead of buying it to add, I'll buy it to step a dice up. So I'm taking all the D6s I've got and turning it to a D8.
Okay. I'm looking at this and thinking I'm sticking a D10 on my result. I'll take the 5 and the 6 for the pass.
Sure.
And throw the D10 in. Yeah.
Okay. So if
actually no, wait a minute. No. I can get a step up, can't I? I can go up it to a D12.
Which means you get the same result either way, though.
Yeah, same result either way.
No, I don't, because if I do 9 and 6, I get 15. That's 5 above, and then I can step
I
up
see.
the D10 to a D12.
D12.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll do that. That costs me a plot point, doesn't it?
No.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
I just get that
by
for
taking the
free.
9, it's okay. So by getting a result that's 5 higher than the target number, you step up your effect.
Yeah.
You
so I'll
chose a
step up
D10 as your effect, and therefore it's a D12.
D12.
Basically, you just created yourself a D12 asset, which is a clue.
And
And what
Eugene didn't lie when he said that, even when he's drunk,
he knows what he's doing.
sharp. He's still
So-
sharp.
A D12 clue, which you can call back in future scenes by paying a plot point.
Okay. So can I
Now-
put that in assets? Can I actually do that?
You can add that to asset, and specifically, your eye is drawn to the shale where they've assessed Noel jumped from.
Yeah.
And there's enough scuffing to make it look like he wasn't alone. And you are convinced that the police have got this wrong. You're convinced there must
Okay.
have been
There's
more
confidence
than
there
one
must have
person
been
on this
someone
roof.
else here. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. So what's can I get a little bit more out of that, Mike? I want to.
But I mean, that's a D12. That's a D12
Yeah, I
result.
get
So
that.
yes, certainly that's a strong narrative impact. So if you want to ask a
What am I
question,
seeing? Am I seeing like extra footprints in the shale or scuffing on a wider than one man would
scuffing on a
cause?
wider area, you're
Right.
because it's not footprints, it's just
Yeah.
movement of feet. There's no real indication of any other, there's no, it's not like you can say, oh, there were 5 people here or anything like that. There's enough here to make it look like there was at least a struggle.
Oh. Okay.
And that's what's making you think he can't have been on his own unless he was fighting himself.
We're gonna need to look at the body then, but we were gonna do that anyway, I think. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna turn to Nat and say this is very strange. I'm not gonna settle on any decision on what's happened here until we've had a good examination of every clue at our disposal. We're going to leave no stone unturned on this. We're going to get to the bottom of exactly what happened here.
Okay, and let's cut back to last night.
Ooh.
So while the patrons are in the auction room, there are a few people that hang back. Robin is starting to finish the ice cream, maybe. We have JD, who is preparing the next set of films for the promotional shots of the bidders and the winning auction lots. There are staff members carrying and ferrying artwork back and forth between here and the auction room itself, as each lot is called. And so you're managing to get some of the professional art handlers in photos, getting shots of the staff, shots of the artwork with less people around them, those kinds of pictures. There are a couple of heavy-looking guys in tight-fitting, ill-fitting suits that may or may not be concealing weaponry. There are, I think Warren's probably gone through the auction room, but you've got a few others that aren't bidding, but are here just sort of to fill out the numbers for the party. Cecile and her husband are inside, bidding on paintings as we are all out here with an opportunity to progress the plot maybe a bit further, just as the auction is completing.
Hi. Thank you so much for earlier. I'm so sorry. I didn't damage your camera, did I?
No, it's all fine. Don't worry about it.
I didn't get to introduce myself properly. My name is Robin. Robin born. It's lovely to meet you, and thank you so much for looking after me.
Oh, it's lovely to meet you too. I am JD. And don't think of it as looking after. We're just hanging out.
Thanks. You look like you're a photographer. Sorry, it's silly.
Did the camera give it away?
Sort of did. Is this your profession?
Yes, it is. I use it to get money, but yes, it's more of a passion.
Oh, that's really good. I'd love to see some of your work. Do you often do like things like this, sort of society things?
When they come around, yeah. I like to get the moment when art hits a person.
Really? Oh, my brother would have loved you. He always loved that. Watching that moment of impact when they when somebody like first saw a piece of art or a painting or even just a beautiful scene, that moment where you just can't quite manage to take a breath. And everything's like super still. That's what he always tried to like achieve with his work. I don't know. I mean, some people say it was a bit unusual, maybe a little bit modern, but I don't know. It's got like structure and shape, but such depth and beauty. And
Well, why don't you? Did you say some of his work was here?
Yeah, the last 3 are being auctioned. I don't know. I don't know if we should go in now the auction started, though. But
you're all stood in the gallery area where the artwork is still on display. And what's happening is that staff members are coming out, taking each individual item in to show what it's being bid on. Then it's being returned and placed back in the gallery, or on an easel for them to come and inspect if for the winning bidder. But as it happens, if you're looking to have that interaction, your brother's artwork hasn't gone through yet. Okay, we'll do that.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's. If you come over here, it's these 3 here.
So you arrive just as 2 of the orderlies, I don't know if that's the right term, 2 of the staff members come over to start moving your brother's paintings through, and you say, "Oh, just 1 second," and so they step back a second just so you've got the opportunity. And just the way that they're stood and admiring the paintings actually strikes JD as a good moment to take a photo.
And she definitely does if she has her camera with her.
Which I
assume. I don't know how portable it is. It is quite an old camera.
Yeah, you have a picture of it in your little thing, and it looks pretty portable.
Yeah, but it looks also quite bulky too. That's my thought.
It is, but it is actually a portable camera. You have to reload a frame in the back every time.
Yeah,
but it's something that you can have hanging from around your neck if you need to. It is bulky. It's not small. It's not a Kodak, but it will take the shot, and then you unload the cartridge from the film from the back, and then put a new one in, sort of thing. So you've got a whole like stack of these in a secure bag where you keep ferrying them back over and topping them back up and stuff. So for the 2 that are in the room where the auction's happening, they have an image of the photo that JD has just taken. I'll be showing this to the group, to the channel now.
So
he says now, but I've got to find it, so bear with me. It's going to be turning up in the channel momentarily.
Are these similar to what Robin's brother has painted before?
Okay, so I mean, you've had time to look through these over the last few days.
Yeah.
Over the time that you've been helping with preparing things, you've spent time during the actual session looking at them. I had this file somewhere. 1 second. 1 second. Do it the easy way. Okay, so I've just shared that photo to the channel now for the rest of the guys to look at. Okay, the paintings are still in sort of the modern style that he does, but they're a little bit more abstract than you're used to. The one closest to us in the photo is the label underneath is mass crucifixion with a dash between those. And it's a kind of optical illusion where the central figure is a priest in robes stood at the front of a church with the center of the aisle running from where the viewer is stood. So you have the pews either side, their arms are outstretched, and the optical illusion element is that the darkness of the floor and behind his robes or behind his head forms a crucifix. But then the actual individual folds of his robe are also individual people. So there's like a group of people in a mass that form the priest, that forms the crucifixion, that behind that forms the church. Next to that is a much more simple piece where bright fiery flames are painted across the image, all gathered around a central white glowing figure in the center, which is called the immolation. Here we have no optical illusion as such. It's much more about the interplay of the reds with the cream and white of the figure. And then the final item is called the ledge. And you can see, as if looking down at your own feet, 2 shoes stood on the edge of a building's roof, looking down on an open street scene beneath, a crowd of onlookers gawking up, pointing towards you as if you are the jumper. And the central figure in that crowd is an albino hobo in very ragged clothing, and their face peers at you from the center. And we will go into break at that point. So I promised there'd be a question for you to take a look at while we go into break. And that is somewhere on the Pallid Man channel on the Discord server for Chaotic Neutral. You can find out what Warren Palmer's, or you can find Warren Palmer in the phone directory. What I'm hoping is that you'll be able to come back to us as soon as possible for the first person to come back and tell me which page of the San Francisco telephone directory can you find Warren Palmer's details. So we want the page number of the San Francisco telephone directory on which you will find Warren Palmer. And the person that comes back to the Twitch chat with that answer first, and it shouldn't take you long, I hope. The first person to come back with that will win the unlock code for the Cortex Prime digital handbook and other tools that are coming through the fandom website. So we'll finish there for a 15-minute break and come back and find out where things go after this. Hi, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for bearing with us while we took that short break. And we have a winner. So I'm reliably informed that Robot Ed will know what I mean if I say, well done, you did well, you won. So it is on page 21 of the telephone directory that you can find the details for Warren Palmer, the art agent for Robin's brother, Ernest. Just a little bit of a detective digging through for you there. Just a distraction. And we'll be following this up shortly with details on how you can get that access code and where you need to plug it in to get a full copy of the digital version of the rulebook for this game. Okay, back into the action. We've just seen the 3 paintings that Robin's brother Ernest painted that are now being carried through to be bid on in the auction room. I'm going to snap back then to the bank, and we will check in with Fade to Black. Fade back.
Swipe, but we're not the Star Wars.
Yes, thank you. I'm not a video editor, but I know the basics. So Dave and Eugene and Nat are on the roof finalizing those investigations, and they have a couple of other locations they wanted to stop in.
Okay, I'm going to step back for a second and let Corinne take the lead, because I feel like I have sort of stomped my way through the investigation so far, and I don't want it to be that Corinne is having to play Watson to my hurt.
So just to recap what we found out last time, we found Dave essentially figured out that there is someone who
there's a second person possibly, or it looks like there was a struggle. So that leads us to think second person.
Yeah, it leads us to think of second person, though not entirely sure. But there seems to be some sort of, I assume, some kind of scuff marks or shuffling around the incident. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
The lead investigator for the police is here on the roof with you. There is at least one other officer. You could be getting statements, those sorts of things. If you've not got specific things you want to ask them, if you can phrase a question you want to investigate with an interview, or if you can phrase something you want to ask, we'll frame that in a form that you can then either make rolls or role play into.
Yes. No, I will. Well, I will go up and ask the lead investigator, and ask what his theory is. But did he already state that, or am I totally out something?
He's saying he thinks it's open. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
No, I'm happy for you to fill it in, but yeah. So
well,
I'll turn this into a little role play if we're cool with that. So Garrick's is Garrick. I'm going to massacre names if I'm not looking at them on the screen. Carrick was convinced. I don't know if Eugene's filled him on suspicions, or if that was just a secret conflab between you two. But Carrick's kind of waving this off as it's a locked room kind of mystery. There's nobody else on the roof. There was no other foul play. Therefore, it was suicide, and he's going to write it up as that.
Yeah. Did you see that over there? The scuff marks and everything. Looks to be in no struggle.
I passed that off as possibly from previous people on the roof. Again, the door was locked. The keys were on the body.
Yes, but that doesn't exclude that there's been someone else up and then locked the door behind them, because there's more than one set of keys. We know that.
Hang on, was the door locked? I thought you said the door was unlocked when he came up earlier. That's what Carl said.
Sure, yeah, I misspoke. that's probably me misspeaking, not the officer.
Yeah.
So with the door
Okay.
closed,
With the door closed, someone can just easily close the door behind them. That's not.
Okay, let's lay this on the line, Mike. So we're all clear, including chat and everybody who's watching. We've got 3 potential sets of keys: one in the safe, one in the maintenance guy's hands, one in the pocket of the dead guy.
Yeah.
The door was unlocked when Carl came up to let the police up here,
yes,
right? And they are taking that to indicate that the dead guy came up, unlocked the door, and jumped straight away and left the door unlocked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
that's their theory.
That's their theory, right?
That's so fair.
And that they don't see the scuffs on the ground as enough evidence to make them think otherwise.
Okay. Well, I think we
I
should.
can't
maybe
trump this
start-
up into a murder charge. There's no motive. I don't see anybody with. I mean, he had the keys on him.
Yes, but have we located the other keys? Do we know? Because we know that they are supposed to be with
With it.
Maintenance guy and safe. Do we know
Well,
that there's something like that?
Let's go identify that.
Yeah.
Maybe you go
Yes,
to
good.
join me just to assuage your concerns.
Yes, please.
And he invites you to come and inspect whether or not the other keys are still in the safe, leaving Dave on the roof with Carl. Should we go check the logbook, make sure that the keys
Yes,
were signed
I
out?
need to know who signed them out, if they were signed out. Yeah.
And also, you still have to speak with the secretary. So
Yeah, I want to
you
do
can-
that with
you can-
Nat. I don't want to do that on my own. So I'll check the
Okay,
logbook
right, so
while
we'll do
Nat
this.
checks the safe.
Then when you guys touch base again, go see
Yeah,
the secretary.
yeah, I think this is
Okay.
good. So I'll go check the logbook. Nat checks the safe. Then we get back together,
Yeah.
compare notes,
Okay.
and go into
Well-
assistant. Yeah.
Dave, Carl takes you to the storeroom where all the keys and stuff are kept. There's a lockbox which he explains this is locked. The managers have a key to this lockbox if they need it. I have the other key for this. There are only 2 keys to get into this. He unlocks it, opens it. There are no keys on the hook that should have that key ring on. So he says, "Yeah, look, that's the key ring. That's the one. It's not here." And he pulls out the book that they use for keeping track of who signs in and out. And there's no signature for this morning for it to be signed out.
Okay. So my question then is, you say that there are several people who have the right to come and sign it out. Would it be possible for somebody to get in here without outside of that circle of people who have the authority? Would it be possible for someone else to get the key to this lockbox and take these keys without signing for them?
I mean, theoretically, I guess, but I mean, to get these keys out, they need that key, and that key is management only. I guess you'd have to check to see which of the managers had it last. I'm guessing Noel.
But it wasn't on the keys that the police showed us. He didn't
No,
have
'cause
the key to this
and-
lockbox.
And this is a surprising moment of logic from Carl. They wouldn't keep the key to get into the box in the box.
No, but okay.
So it
person who
wouldn't have been
came-
on the ring of keys.
But the person who comes in and unlocks this box and takes the keys, wouldn't they have the key to this box on them?
It wasn't on the body.
So who has access to the other key? Who would have that key now? That's what we need to find. We need to find that second key.
Sure.
Second
sure.
lockbox.
Okay. And then I'm going to switch from you because that's something you can do later.
Yeah.
Corinne, Nat and the detective head down to the safe of the bank. It's not one of these clever ones that's on timer release. The bank manager is able to give the officer access under police circumstances. and then leads through to where the keys are. And he's just like, this is just to put pay to some wild fancy ideas. We just need to know nobody else had a key on them to get to the roof. Effectively, I guess this leaves us with Carl as a suspect. He looks at the bank manager, Mr. Elwood, with a sort of raised eyebrow, as if to say,
Maybe not
I
a
don't think
suspect,
so.
but at least a person of interest.
And you go through the motions of getting to the secure door. The drawer is pulled out and the keys are in there. So this is the third set of keys, and they are accounted for.
Cool. Oh, that's nice. The keys are right here at least. Let's see what Mr. I keep forgetting names.
Eugene.
Eugene. I was about to say Eugene. That was correct. Eugene. See what Eugene has found out. Because the keys, I assume you
guys catch up with each other
the
and sort
safe
notes.
keys are the ones that are mostly like closely watched. No one takes the keys.
Yeah, I mean, nobody goes in or out of the bank. It's the bank safe without good reason, and it's known if that door is open. If the huge safe door is open, then somebody knows about it.
Yeah. So I wasn't
Kept
expecting
in the
these keys
vault.
to be gone.
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay. That's hefty security on that. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the keys that let you get access to anything within the bank. So, it's the backup.
Yeah.
Backup.
Backup.
Okay. All right. So we meet back up then to mention that, the lockbox, there's a second key, so there could be no one signed out. No one signed out the keys. So our friend Noel, who jumped, he didn't sign the keys out. He's got them on his person. So we're going to assume he's the one that took the keys, but he didn't go through the proper procedure of doing it. Now, if he's going to kill himself, maybe he didn't care, but he didn't have the key to the lockbox on him. So we need to find that second key, because if that's missing, then whoever's got it knows something about what happened with these keys.
That's true.
So you make your way to Noel's office. Sat outside in it's sort of in the waiting area, not actually at her desk, is an elderly lady crying into a third or fourth tissue in a row, distraught at the loss of her boss. This is Jeanette Farlingham.
Okay.
Hello.
She sobs and snuffles into her handkerchief and looks up to see who's come into the office.
Hello. My name's Nat. What's your name?
Sorry. I'm Miss Farthingale. If you're here, sorry, are you?
Well,
She's very confused and distracted by her grief.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. Were you close to the deceased? To Noel?
I think almost everybody loved Noel. He was such a gentle soul.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He was a lovely boss, and I adored working for him.
This must have come as a real shock then.
It's been 2 years that I've been working for Mr. Colin, and he'll be sorely missed.
Did you come in? Do you guys normally come in at the same time or different time?
I'm usually here just after him. and I check in, see if he has anything for me. But yeah, he was in first this morning.
Yeah. Did you speak to him at all before?
He seemed a little bit out of sorts. I wish I'd known how upset he must have been. Maybe I could have stopped him. And she snuffles into another handkerchief.
I kind of pat her back. We can't worry about what ifs. What we need to worry about right now is what actually happened. Because this, from what everybody I've spoken to, this does not seem like anyone saw this coming.
Certainly not. I mean, I'm very up to date with his moods. He's always so jolly and happy. I would never have thought he had any. I would never have thought he had anything troubling him this much in his life. Nothing to explain why he did this.
Does he have a family? Do you know?
Oh, just Cecile, his wife.
Yeah. Does she? Do you know if she knows? Yeah.
I believe the police may have been around to inform her.
Oh, my condolences, well, to you and to everybody. Such a horrible thing to happen.
My dear, thank you. But what? Tell me again. Who are you?
So I am. I'm Nat. I am a reporter for paper, which I keep forgetting.
Call bulletin. It's the call bulletin.
And I'm.
Oh, I read that. Have you had? What have you written?
And I will mention some smaller articles I have written
Sure.
that I've been allowed to write in. If she's an avid reader, she'd probably read like one or two of my articles. And be like,
And I'm Eugene Kerrigan. I'm a private detective working for the bank. I would give you a business card, but I haven't had any made up.
I'll get onto that in a minute for you, Dave.
No, that's the thing for chat.
Yeah, I think I saw that message from the beginning.
Don't concern yourself with blaming yourself, my dear. This is not something that anybody else has any responsibility for. We do need to get to the bottom of exactly what has happened here. Any information you could give us about what Mr. Collins' activities were leading up to this incident would be extremely useful.
He sequestered himself away into his room, into his office. Usually he'd be out here going over the notes in his I don't have his journal either. He would normally be sat with me. We'd talk through the letters he needs writing up or any other documents he needs sourcing.
do you know what his journal would be in his office?
Normally it's right here. She indicates across the room to her desk and the inbox. And she said, normally he'd just leave it there for me. And I'd start leafing through the notes from anything he had overnight or any thoughts before I came in. And then I'd have some indication of what it was he would have had me doing. Not today. I'd been going through some of the correspondence that had come in. I was ready to take that through to him when there was a delivery. I believe the painting that he purchased was delivered, and he took that and carried it straight through into his office. We're going to skip over to the auction. We're going to skip over to the auction at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to it then. We'll come back to it.
Paintings.
Hold that thought. So the paintings have all been trade in and out of the auction room, and the bidding is finished. your JD's positioned for the exit of the patrons as they come out. There's going to be a mix of emotions that you're going to be able to see on their faces, as there are some who will have obviously not got the items that they were bidding for, so they may have they may be a picture of miffdom, or they may be jubilant at their success. So I'll let's see, drop another room in. So we're going to go to the post auction. So here we've got, it's still a party atmosphere, and there are going to be more photo opportunities now, and very specifically JD's contact is going to be directing people to have specific photos taken, so patrons will be captured next to the artwork that they've purchased, and these will be used for things like board of trustees meetings, investors, and general publications that they want to use for publicities, etc. And this is what effectively really what they're wanting to pay you for. They want to have these key figures from polite society associated with their endeavors, and it is a charity event as well, so they want to be able to share that news where they go. So you have some snarky exchanges between the people that have been bidding. I'm assuming the players that are in the auction rooms can see that I've opened up a second area.
Because you haven't put us in.
Have I not?
Oh
You're not
no!
on here.
Oh, it's on the actual map. Sorry, I didn't.
So on the same map, yeah. So
Okay,
I've just created a second room.
Yeah. Love it.
And there are other patrons that you haven't interacted with. Obviously, there's a whole like host of party here. But you pick out Cecile and her husband. She seems a little bit giddy with all that's going on. He has that same sort of stoic resolve. And those two heavies that you spotted earlier are crowded around an elder Italian-looking gentleman and a young lady on his arm. There's a group of Oriental, I would go as far as to say businessmen, a party of Orientals that are amongst the party goers. There are other fine-looking people in well-dressed outfits. You have people that are dressed for the party and people that are dressed in business attire. And then amongst them, you have other artists and other interested parties too.
So Robin would like to track down Warren, please.
Apologies to Simon. I was trying to keep it in flavour there, son. I'm sorry, Helen, your question again was?
I'd like to track down Warren, please.
Okay, so crossing the room, you locate Warren as he's coming out from the auction house.
Warren, how did it go?
Very well, very well. I would say that your brother's artwork has been well received indeed. I'm very pleased with how that went.
That's really good. Any idea who might have bought them?
I can introduce you, of course. Follow me, and he sort of leads you across to a couple of interested parties that. So first, you're introduced to. Well, to be fair, it's a little difficult to get to this guy. The thugs that you spotted earlier are still kind of trying to run interference as you approach, but Warren steps forward and explains. He catches the eye of a young lady who comes over. Giselle, my dear, could we have a moment, please, with Mr. Lanza? Just this young lady here is the bereaved sister of the artist who's painting. Oh, of course she is. Yes. Giselle, a somewhat emaciated young lady, guides the two of you over to Frank Lanza. He has purchased the immolation from your brother's selection.
Hello, sir. It's an honour to meet you. My name's Robin Bourne. I'm Eugene Bourne's sister. Just thank you so much for taking an interest in his work.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And he sort of strokes his arms as he leans in to look at you. I paid a significant fee for your brother's work.
I appreciate that, and I'm sure the charity will too.
Yes, of course. Charity, yes. I'm very much about helping those who are unfortunate in our city. Something in the distance behind you distracts him, and he sort of sends his goons away to do something. They bustle past you.
May I be so bold as to ask why you chose that picture in particular?
Giselle giggles, and he kind of just goes tight-lipped for a moment. I had somebody I wanted to buy it for.
Oh,
It will be a gift. And he looks over to the girl Giselle.
oh well. I hope they appreciate it. It's a very generous gift you're giving.
We'll find somewhere to put it, she says as she leans in on his shoulder. And she then turns to sort of stroke on his arm, wraps the boa from around her neck over his shoulder, and leans in to kiss him on the cheek. And then you hear a little bit of a ruckus going on behind you, and some attention turns to see that the two thugs are approaching JD and giving her a bit of a hard time.
Oh,
so I'm just going to cut across to that, capture your shock there for a moment. But Spider, two larger gentlemen have stepped across from some of the other patrons, and they're muscling in, closing in on you, and somewhat taking offense at the fact that you're snapping photos, and they've just noticed that.
I'll definitely get a picture of them trying to not.
Sure.
It's a great opportunity to get some real sort of action scenes, you know?
Yeah. So they're coming in and trying to block your view of what's behind them. That's Robin, Lanza and his floozy, and they're close enough now to you that if you try to get a photo of the actual proceedings, you're going to be obstructed. And in very grunty tones, they're like, no photos. No photos. If you've been taking photos of the boss, of Mr. Lanza.
Oh no! I was taking a picture of my friend.
They point over their shoulder. They point over their shoulder at him. So you've got any photos of him?
No, I was aiming directly for my friend over there, Robin.
Okay, I want you to try and convince them that you have not taken those photos. Because you've been snapping away all night, and maybe out the corner of their eye, they've realised that's been going on. But
I mean, it's
if they think,
job, but...
yes, exactly. But if they think for any reason you have photos of their boss, they're going to probably take things further.
Now, see.
So
I'm definitely going to try and words escaping me. Flutter my eyes? That's not right.
Okay.
Eyelids?
Batter your eyelashes.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And just try and look oh so innocent and and just kind of move my arms slightly to be suggestive and whatnot. Can I have that as seduction too?
Of course, you're trying to, play the innocent innocent lady that's oh, not me. So you're deferring the attentions.
Yes. So it's right. Oh, sorry, my laptop moved.
So I've rolled 2 difficulty dice at an easy setting, so that's 2d6. I've got a total of 7 for you to beat.
So would that be willpower or intellect?
Or vitality. How gorgeous are you looking?
Stunning.
Are you trying
Absolutely
you're trying to hide this, aren't you? So I think you're probably looking at willpower, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Oh, boo. If,
Hey,
Could be
you'll be
worse.
fine. You're gorgeous. They'll trust you.
Can I use my seduction as my relevant speciality?
Yes, yep. So that gives you a d8. I'm going to if which of your distinctions are you thinking would apply here? Now you also have the and I'll just remind you of this. You also have the scene distinctions, which are the party atmosphere. There are many photo opportunities going on, and the bidders are having snarky exchanges. If any of those can be narratively worked into how you're going to try and dodge this attention, then you can use those, or go with one of the 3 that's on your character sheet. And these can be either helpful or hindrance. So
I'm going to go with party atmosphere because everyone's just a bit happy-go-lucky.
And yeah, it's a pleasant environment, and anybody trying to harsh the mellow is going to be judged badly.
Yeah, so I'm going to go.
Okay, so in which case you take the party atmosphere as the distinction, and it's going to help you in what you're doing.
And I don't have any assets unless I call on my contact.
I don't know. You've got the camera equipment itself, which is what you are kind of discussing, so you can call that in if you need to.
I feel like that would be more of a hindrance if I do that, though.
Then I would say don't put it in, so you have no relevant assets.
Do I have stress?
And there's no stress as you're currently rolling against difficulty rather than.
I got a 1.
I'm interested in that, but you have beaten the difficulty. So yeah, you've rolled a 2 and a 7,
Yeah.
which beats the difficulty you're after. I will give you a plot point there. So if you want to grab a plot point, drag that to your hand, and I will put a D8 in the doom pool.
Plot point, mine.
So the doom pool contains 3d6, 2d8, which I will get to use later. I will. The goons. So you win. So effectively, you get to narrate how this goes. But the goons are checking to see if you've taken any photos. How do you convince them that that's not the case? That you've not taken photos of their boss?
Well, I batter my eyelids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Batter your eyelashes.
Thank you. And just look all innocent. I go up and like kind of almost hug one of their arms, like, oh no, don't worry, it's all good. I'm just the photographer for the evening. I've not been taking many pictures though. And look, why don't we go take a drink?
I like it. Okay, so you steer them over towards the bar and see to it they're given something to drink, and convince them that you're night of snapping many shots of the patrons did not actually involve taking any shots of the patrons, and they are convinced enough that your innocence is radiant, and they leave you be.
Yay.
The scuffling that caused was reason enough for Warren to move on to the next group, where he takes you over to a group from Chinatown, and he says, "Yes, the group here," and he bows respectfully and introduces you to Mother Zhang, who has very little to say. She's very quiet. She bows her head in respect, and he explains who you are again. She thanks you for allowing the paintings to be sold, and that she's pleased that they'll be able to display the painting in our church.
Thank you. Again, it's so good to meet you. May I know which one you bought, if that's not too forward?
It surprises you not to learn that they went for the religious iconography of the Mass crucifixion.
Yeah. And what church do you belong to, may I ask?
And they explain they're from a Presbyterian chapel.
Oh. Wow. I think it would be an honour for his work to hang there. Thank you so much. I really can't express how much it means to know that it's going to such lovely people and into such a beautiful place. I really hope that you enjoy it, and all the rest of the churchgoers enjoy it too.
Yes, I'm very sure that the addition of this artwork will help us to focus on praise and worship.
Yes, thank you. And I sort of bow, nod respectfully, and sort of.
Warren walks you away to the next patron that purchased your painting. Back to the bank tomorrow. Dave and Corinne. There was a painting that was delivered. It's in his office, and shortly after he had that, he left and never returned.
Have you got the keys to his office? I mean, it might benefit us to have a look at what he was doing.
I checked the office hasn't been locked.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, we maybe looking around his office, we might be able to find some clues to what he was working on. Might help us understand his state of mind.
And I've been instructed by Mr. Elwood that I need to help you. So please do go in, please.
Yes. Thank you. And we'll go in, or at least I'll go in.
I'm going in. I not want to miss the chance to gain some insanity from looking at a Cthulhu painting.
Yay, Cthulhu painting!
Yeah, so immediately, are the paintings here?
So the room is it's an official office in a bank. It's desks and filing cabinets and a bookcase. Against the bookcase is the brown paper wrapped frame of a relatively large painting.
1930s. It's just paper everywhere. I said
yeah, entirely. You're not wrong.
There's no computer. It's just a big stack of pile of
paper.
Yeah,
no, he's got a really modern two screen desktop setup.
Oh yeah.
The painting is leaning up against. Sorry.
A very important question. Does he have a recently printed picture of him and his wife at some charity auction framed on his desk?
No, that would be a ridiculous turnaround for JD to have worked at. But there is a photo of him.
Just check.
There is a photo of his wife on his desk. There's a photo of his wife on his desk. But from the desk, looking at the bookcase, you can see the frame of the painting. The brown paper has been torn away of the face of the painting, and you can see what has already been described, the ledge painting, looking back at you.
Okay, I'm going to take more of the brown paper away because it's already
as you
ripped.
approach the painting to tear off more. It's not quite that much of a grab, Corinne, but as you approach the painting to tear off more of the paper, it becomes apparent that you can actually make out more detail, obviously, the closer you get. And on this closer inspection that it allows you, you spot that the artwork of this has been done in oil paints, and that the brush strokes have been done in a very stylized and complex manner, that each brush stroke follows from the previous in a, as perfect as can be, spiral leading from the outer edges to the center.
It's a bloody Tim Burton painting.
Sorry?
It's a bloody Tim Burton painting.
Right. A comparison that's fair, but not of the inspiration that I got. But where the brushstrokes all lead into one another, leading to the center, where as described earlier, there is the face of a very pale albino hobo glaring back up at you from the depths of the painting. It gives a mild feeling of vertigo, standing close to the painting, looking down at the crowd beneath.
I want to take a very good look at this painting, and does it look like, am I getting the feeling, maybe that's the wrong way of putting it, but do I get the feeling that this is a picture of the roof of the bank?
Okay, I mean, you've stood on the roof of the bank. You've tottered on the edge of the bank.
Yes.
It is not a realistic representation. It's not a representation of the top of the bank.
Because it is. I mean, I'm going to immediately remark to Nat that it is a bit suspicious and a little bit too on the nose that the man has bought a painting of what looks like someone jumping from getting ready to jump from a ledge, and then
going off and jumping on
immediately went and did it. I mean, I don't know.
Strange.
I don't know how those two connect to cause him to commit this act, but that's got to make you think something extremely weird's going on here, right? Because that's starting to blow my mind a little bit.
Eugene is entertaining the fact there is a connection between the painting and the suicide. Please make a mythos resistance check.
Yeah. I mean,
I have a 9 on that.
There is a part of me that just wants to go relent, but no, I'll make the roll.
I'm going to throw in, before you roll, I'm going to throw in one of the D6s as well.
Right, am I rolling this as willpower? I assume to resist it, yeah?
Yeah, so you're putting a coping mechanism resistance through. If your coping mechanism is a weakness, then
I'm gonna. Well, I'd like to go with willpower, moxie, and drink to forget, and I'd like drink to forget to be positive because I have already been drinking.
So you're going to easily forget.
Yes, easily forget this very weird thing.
That is my thinking. Yeah.
So that's not actually helped my dice roll anyway, but I put the D6 in.
Do I
it means
need
that
to make this roll, or is it just?
And Dave was the one that stepped up and checked the painting, and has already stated that he's making this connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking. Am I right in thinking I'm looking at a 9 here? I need to get.
Yeah. So 9 is the difficulty. My extra dice only got me a 2, which isn't going to improve the situation. Yeah, I'll keep. I could spend a dice out of the Doom pool to keep that in my
come
total.
on. Oh, that's just crap.
I'm going
That's
to give
just,
you a plot
I mean,
point for that,
right,
Dave.
okay, obviously, right. So, can I step up with plot points?
No. So this is the dice pool that you rolled. If you'd have spent dice maybe before, you could have included
Because that's
a
just,
new
I mean,
asset you created.
it just sucks though, because like I'm gonna get a D4 for it, but like,
Yeah. You beat
No.
it, but you get D4.
So you're going to
I
get
am
a
gonna get a
D6.
D4. No, I'm gonna get a
You're gonna
D4,
get a
aren't
D-
I? Because I take
No,
the,
so
I
the
didn't beat
first
9.
level of,
I didn't beat 9. Ah!
Yeah.
No, I don't even succeed, do I? Damn it.
you did not succeed. So Dave has
Oh.
rolled 9, which isn't enough to beat the
The 9. I
total,
didn't get a 10. I
the
needed a 10,
difficulty.
not a 9.
Oh,
You needed a 10.
Ah.
Right. So Dave got 9 and rolled a 1 on his D4 for willpower. Which means that Dave,
There's nothing I can
I'm
do
buying
about
the
that, is there?
willpower.
There's nothing I can do about that, is there?
No, I'm buying your hitch off
Oh,
of you and giving you a plot point for that. Please do take that.
Take the
Um,
pain,
I'll get 2
Dave.
plot points.
Take the
Because-
pain.
No, you're
because it's only
buying the one.
D4.
You're buying
Like
the one
that's
from
like
willpower.
Yeah.
You're
So-
buying the 1, right? You're not
Yes.
giving me any extra, are you? So
No.
you are giving me.
So
extra
you're getting a plot point for
No,
that.
okay, right.
No, you get a
Yeah,
plot
I mean,
point.
I'm on
You should
4
have
and I'm
4
about to go
now.
insane. Yeah, I have 4
Right.
and I'm about to go insane.
By
So
buying
do
that,
your
I'm
worst.
taking by buying that I'm taking a D6 out and turning it into a D8. So the Doom pool currently contains 1d6, 3d8.
I want to apologize to the rest of the group for basically making the Doom pool ridiculous. But considering I have all the cards, I'm the one that's going to hit at the end of the session anyway. So
now, if I'm right, then that should be
D6
there.
mythos, yeah.
Yeah, you now have a D6 mythos exposure.
Okay.
And you this represents that you are realistically entertaining the concept that the cause of the suicide is a painting, right? Not something that most people would make as an assumption outside of a role-playing game where people have these ideas.
I'm going to say that I'm accepting the idea that the painting could have been the cause. I mean, I'm not saying, I don't think Eugene has immediately jumped to the painting shows a ledge, therefore he jumped off the ledge. But I think maybe Eugene is thinking along the lines of, maybe he was looking at the painting, got ridiculously drunk and thought it might be a lark to go up and recreate the painting on the roof and then fell.
Yeah, it's not like you're sitting here thinking it's mystical powers.
The painting's magic and it's brainwashed him into
no, that hasn't. We haven't got to that stage yet. But the very fact that your mind is disconnecting from
yeah. That
okay,
you know, the problem with that, Mike, is that almost feels like that's positive and is actually going to help me in the investigation.
Oh no, that's the way it goes. Yeah, so Dave has a dizzy moment stood in front of the Eugene has a dizzy moment stood in front of the painting, where he's like, "That's just a little bit on the nose," and that's like, "What? It's just a painting."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
I do agree. It's strange that he got a picture of someone about to jump and then going jumping. That is very strange. But
yeah, but like really strange. I mean, that's like. Like, I mean, that's 2 bottles in kind of strange. Yeah.
Was it just one painting or is there more?
Oh, let's see the rest.
So this is
who doesn't need more mythos exposure?
Yay!
Sorry to disappoint. This is the only painting that is here.
Oh, okay. So there's no other paintings.
Okay, so it's extra strange because there's only one painting and it's this.
It is just that painting, and that is exactly what happened to him. Okay, so that's strange. But let's carry on looking.
Is there a journal in here?
Is his journal here? That's a good question.
No. So you search through the papers on his desk. There's a couple of client files that are in his inbox or outbox. There are things that he was working on clearly in the day before, but no, his journal is not in the room.
Too many things have gone missing for there not to be somebody involved in this. Somebody either knows what happened and is covering it up, or somebody is actively involved in what happened to him.
because obviously this painting is very weird. Do you think it's like a threat that someone was sending it this and be like, oh, this is gonna happen, and then he like went and pushed him off the
That's
building?
a good idea. I not thought about it that way, but yeah, maybe. And we've got the missing key to the lockbox, and we've got the missing journal now. Stuff's just doesn't add up. There has to be. He's not got them on him. There has to be somebody else involved. Be
Yes.
interesting.
Who's painted this painting?
Let's
What's the
find out.
signature on the
What's the
painting?
signature on the painting? They have those things on paintings.
Yes, they do. What? Oh, Corinne asked.
Yes.
Guess what,
Yeah.
Corinne? You're looking at the painting.
Yeah.
Hey!
Mythos exposure.
The difficulty for the mythos exposure is set by the person with the largest number of plot points. That is Dave.
Yeah,
Oh, hang on.
4
What,
plot points?
do I have? Yes, because I've rolled a lot
So
of
it's
ones.
the person with the
Because
most
the
plot
dice
points in a
hate
C.
me. Am I
So-
rolling to set it, or are you rolling?
No. So
By
the
how
number
bad
of
I
plot
am.
points you're carrying sets how much the difficulty
I
is.
would
So I
love,
move it up.
guys. I would love to spend some of these plot points, guys, but I have not yet had that opportunity.
Before rolling, you are able to spend a plot point to create assets that you can add to your dice roll, whether that's skills, a drunken blindness,
Yes, true.
anything like that that you wish to bring in to aid your roll. There's
Did you
always
roll
chances.
17?
I rolled a 17 on the dice Dave let me have. I'm not spending any. I wasn't going to,
Yes,
but I'm not
no.
spending. I'm not
So
spending
upset.
any dice from the Doom pool to bonus that because I knew 2d10 was going to be good enough already.
Fuck. That's my answer. I will save my plot point because I have a much higher chance of spending and getting, rather than making an asset, spending a plot point to bring in an extra dice for a result is probably what's going to give me the chance of success. Because otherwise, beating a 17 is almost impossible for me. I'm rolling willpower, yes?
You have the narrative control here. You're investigating one small corner. So yeah, if your willpower can stop you looking at the rest of the painting, maybe that's what's going to save you.
Well, what I'm actually trying to do is I'm trying to look at the signature. So Mythos resistance is my thing. Would it be willpower to only look at the signature, alertness to only, it will be one of my d6s either way.
Yeah, okay. So you have 3 skills you have yet to define.
Yes.
If there's something that you can state now, you effectively can have that come in as a D6.
Oh joy, D6. Yes. Attention to detail. Would that be right one? Mike?
Yeah, okay. So you want a skill for attention to detail.
Yeah.
I think that's in fitting with your character as well, because that's the sort of thing that as a budding reporter you'd want.
Yeah.
I'll add that in now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am gonna say my distinction help. I'm going with news hound. I'm really trying to figure out this thing.
You're pursuing.
I don't think any of my assets help.
I don't know. I mean, you don't have to have the person here for them to be an inspiration, for instance. So you can use your contact that is a reporter as a.
Oh yeah, I'm like trying to impress him, and I'm being like, I will figure out.
So I'm
this.
happy for that.
Cool.
You know, I'm not trying to make it impossible for you to roll an 18.
Yeah. Cool. Yes, I will put that in. My target of this painting does not have any stress. It's a painting.
More often than not, that slot's going to be available for you to drop other dice in if you need to for other things that you might purchase with a plot point or things like that.
Yeah.
It's only when you're really in a contest with somebody else that you're trying to pick up their stress. I mean, if you were fighting Dave at the minute, you could maybe pull his mythos in.
God, that is terrible. I fail.
Yeah, you fail. So you try very hard to focus on just the signature, but the curvature of these brush strokes keeps drawing your eye back up and into the middle of the painting. So you actually spend a lot longer stood in front of there, sort of rocking. You've hunched down to look at the bottom of the painting where the signature is, closer than even Dave got to the painting. Right, you've pulled away at the bottom, pulled all the paper off of the bottom to really expose more of the brushwork, and you're leaning in, and you don't even realize how long you're doing it for until Eugene comes up and sort of taps you on the shoulder and go, "So who is it?"
Yeah, so who is it? I assume I can read the name.
What's the guy's name? And you're like, you're knocking the dust off your shoulders. You've been you don't fail to get the clue.
Yeah, because
that's any
I can
benefit.
still read the name.
But your total at best is a 6, and you were trying to, beat a 17.
That's not
in
good.
a contest, I'd actually use this to up the stress, but this is just a simple test.
Yeah.
Right. So you also will be at D6 on your mythos stress.
Yes.
So I'll just drop that now.
Mythos stress.
Okay.
That's absolutely fine. A little bit of crazy it helps the investigation. It's good.
Okay. So you get the name. It is Ernest Bourne, is the artist.
Ernest Bourne.
Ernest Bourne.
No, was this?
And you are both now convinced this painting is more than a simple painting. There is something significant.
I don't like
your
this
theory.
painting.
Your theory that it's a threat, possibly sent by the artist, is more entrenched in your mind. And Dave's concept that
I'm on board with that as well. This is whoever this person with the key and the journal, they probably sent the painting, they put this idea in his head, he went and did it. Or maybe they did it to him.
Yeah.
Either way, that painting is big.
Well, I've got the guy's name now who painted it, and I'm convinced he's the murderer. Well, I'm convinced he's involved.
He probably knows. He probably knows who's involved in it. He's at the center of this.
Yes, this guy.
what I would
I'm
like
gonna
to
go
do
to
is
the phone book and figure out where he lives.
I'm not going to say you can't do that, because I have littered the forum with photos of the phone book. But besides that, I'm going to go back to the auction, and we're going to wrap that scene up, and then possibly bring all 4 players together for a closing moment where they're all in the same place. So Robin, you're brought back into the presence of Cecile and her husband. He seems more focused on the paintings than he was before, and he was quite obsessed at that point. So when he's given the opportunity to have his photo taken in front of the painting, he doesn't shove Cecile out of the shot, but she was quite insistent that she get in on the shot, and he explains, no, this isn't for us, darlings. This is for the auction house. Let it just be. It's just me in the photo. Just me in the photo. Just me. And JD graciously takes that photo for him. Now, come on, darling. Okay, now one for us. Okay, I understand. And JD takes a second one of the 2 of them stood with him for this purchase. And whilst Cecile turns to talk to the 2 of you, he goes to talk to the staff at the auction house, explaining where he wants to deliver the extension. Robin.
Oh, Cecile, wasn't it? Oh, I can't believe you bought the painting. Oh, I'm so touched. I didn't know. Thank you. do you have particular plans for it?
As you're saying these things, her face goes through a couple of emotions. You definitely pick up that she's a bit miffed. She kind of bites her lip a second before answering. Yes, we're supposed to be buying a number of pieces to go into the foyer at the bank. I'm not sure a piece of this, lovely as it is, not sure this is necessarily suited to that room. But yes, I'll have words with Noel when we get home. We'll talk about where he thinks it should go. I can't picture what he was thinking. I could tell you more when. Why don't you tomorrow at brunch? I'll know better then what he was thinking. But yes, I'm so pleased that it was your brother's painting that we've spent all that money on. It's wonderful, isn't it?
It is so kind of you, and like the charity benefits, and I mean, I guess you didn't know, but I really do appreciate it. And I don't know, your husband, he seems very taken with the paintings. Like I noticed earlier, he was very intent on looking at them. So he does seem to be a bit of an art lover. And that's good to know.
It's why we were so eager to help with the redecorating committee. But again, this is yes. Again, I'll talk to my husband and find out what he was thinking.
I mean, it is a more unusual piece. I don't disagree. It's not really been in quite the style of my brother's previous work, but
exactly. And I can understand that he wanted to buy something by Ernest because I've seen his work in other locations. Some of my husband's clients, for instance, have Ernest paintings in their so. But this is not. No offense, my dear, but this is not what I was expecting when I heard that these paintings would be available.
Well, I understand. I was a little shocked myself when I saw them. They were, I mean, they're very, very different to what he had been doing, and I did love what he had been doing, but I've had some time to sort of look at them, and I don't know, it feels like he almost put his heart and soul into these, and I guess that's going to be meaningful in some way. I completely understand, though it does seem a little weird to have for a bank, but maybe there's somewhere it will be right. May I meet your husband briefly? Is that okay? I really would like to thank him myself.
Yeah, and it's best to do it now before we leave.
She knows. She knows.
That was me throwing that in. I apologize. Couldn't help myself. Of course, we have moments of pleasantries between the two of you. Is there something specific that you want to ask the husband?
It is going to be pretty much like, Cecile was saying that you were looking at a number of paintings. What made you decide to go for this one in the end?
He almost doesn't answer. It's more just he mumbles under his breath and turns back to finish his arrangements and things. And it's actually quite a rude kind of ignoring you moment, and just he just doesn't engage that you're there.
Oh. Sorry, Cecile. Might I have your address and
So,
then we can meet tomorrow.
For Helen and JD, there's another handout that I just put up on screen, and an invite across and an instruction for JD to remember to bring the photos tomorrow. What I'm going to do is wrap that scene up with the mythos test for you guys, and we'll have Helen roll for Robin first, because she's probably seen the painting more. So there's only 2 plot points in this scene.
Yeah.
So the difficulty is much easier. With I've rolled a 4 and a 1. I can't use the 1. So the difficulty for Robin to resist her brother's paintings is a 4. And you can spend a plot point to buy that opportunity of a D6 off of me to add to your pool if you wish. You've beaten a 4.
Yeah, that's true. I probably won't. So can I use my art history to as my specialty?
Certainly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sort of helps you to compartmentalize what you're looking at.
Yeah. I'm coping mechanisms. I think fragile but fierce, but I'm actually going to put it as a hinder.
Sure. Grab yourself a plot point.
Thank you. And do I have a relevant asset? No. No.
Okay, so this is a good roll.
Yeah.
Except, of course, you did roll a 1 as well, which tends to happen when you put a D4 in your dice pool.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you another plot point.
So that's 2, isn't it?
Because I'm evil. And I'll step up the last of the D6s to a D8, making the Doom pool 4D8. These dice carry over. Unfortunately, it's a bit asymmetrical because your plot points don't.
Hold on. So the Doom pool carries. I thought you said the Doom pool got used at the end of each session.
Your plot points go down, but the overall drama of the story continues to ramp.
Oh.
There will be certain scenes where if I've spent all my dice, I know that this scene is dramatic and I'll flood the pool with a few extra. But I'm only going to do that if I've had to blow out everything out. And I'm usually pretty controlled about when I spend dice.
Okay.
Certainly for this first act, I'm not blowing dice out that fast. But that does mean that now there's somebody in the scene with Helen's not taking her plot points, but you have got 2 more. Oh no, you've got
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, which means that for Spider, the difficulty has stepped up to.
I mean, am I though? Oh, I am sorry. Sorry.
So I roll a 14 on 2D8.
Thank you.
For Spider to roll for JD to resist. So JD, you've been snapping photos of stuff all the while, and in previous runs of this, it wasn't quite so obvious that where the mythos influence was coming from in this scene. But you've certainly been taking photos of these paintings. You've got at least 4 or 5. So you've looked at them through the camera lens and studied them enough to get good shots.
Yes.
So if you would, you have photographic memory, and if you don't mind, that's going to be a hindrance on your attempts to not notice what drives you crazy. So your coping mechanism distinction is a hindrance for you to resist this.
Okay. Can I use my plot points like
You can. You certainly can.
Okay. What plot points do I'll give this?
So you have 2 plot points.
Yes.
And you can use them to bring extra dice in from the scene. You can use them to create assets. So you could, for instance, use your character sheet, pull all the dice in that you're going to pull in, but then for the stress slot, if you want, you could spend one of your plot points to add another distinction from the scene. So for instance, maybe you've been drinking along with the party atmosphere and you're numbing your senses in the same way that Eugene does, but you're doing it quite casually. Loving
I
your
do
plot point cards.
There's a distinction.
So you can spend a plot point to buy a distinction off of the table and roll that as a D8 to add that again, use the stress slot to put a D8 in if you want.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go with the party atmosphere, which was an asset, did you say, or a help?
The party atmosphere, I would say, put that in at the end as one of your stress. So the stress that it's asking, do you have any? Does your opponent have any stress
Oh,
that you can add in?
I see. Sorry.
Usually that's going to be a no, right? And it's still a no in this instance, but I'm saying just use that as a pickup dice, just to add that in as a D8.
And I'm going
Leaving you.
to use my alertness to, because I'm using my camera all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm being really alert about like what angles look good, what shapes work best, what lighting works, what these different people are looking at, and how they're doing them, essentially.
Sure. Yeah. You're taking in more than just the paintings when you're taking these shots. So you're
Yeah.
using your alertness here to keep your view on the big picture, not on the terrifying details.
Yes. So I'm also using photography.
Yeah.
And then my distinction was a hindrance.
Which I'm saying take the D4 hindrance, yeah.
Yep. Did we say that I had relevant asset? Yes, we have a camera.
And then add a D8 in the stress for the dice that you've brought off the table. And I've given you a plot point for the hindrance.
Oh, okay. Yay!
Yeah,
No,
success.
not once.
So yeah, also no ones, yes. You've rolled a 9 for your specialty and an 8 for your asset. Taking those, you easily beat the 14. So
Yay.
you avoid any mythos stress, as did Robin. It was a party atmosphere. You guys were able to
Keep it
move
together.
through without really spending any time actually taking in any of the mythos influence. So I don't want to run over the 11 o'clock mark too much, so I'm going to keep it fairly short. But as the party closes and the next day begins, JD ends up spending some time printing some of the photos, specifically the ones that she wants to take with her to Cecile's the next day. You guys meet up roughly around the same sort of time outside Cecile's. So Robin and JD are there when the bad news is delivered. And then what will have happen is you guys are there consoling her over a period of time, whilst Corinne and Dave are at the bank, and then they'll catch us up here, and we'll join the whole group together. Potentially one reveal, and then we'll fade out to black for the end of the night. So as you arrive, there are police cars already parked outside. There's a police car parked outside of their residence. So when you approach the door, and a somewhat distraught maid answers, as opposed to have the police officer come to the door, you're already a little bit uneased by this. What is it you're walking into, you wonder?
Hi, Robin Bourne and JD, we're here to see Cecilia. She invited us. I show the little invite.
Sure. I'm not sure now is a good time, but maybe if you could come and wait for a moment, I'll see if
Sure.
Lady of the House is.
Has something happened? Like
Please.
Cecilia was so lovely to me yesterday. If there's anything I can do.
Please take. She walks you into a side parlor or something as you sit for a moment, and the two of you are left sort of looking at each other, wondering what's happening. There's definitely a pallor over the whole house, a quiet shock in the air, and you can hear that she's speaking to somebody, probably one of the police officers, maybe in the other room. and they see themselves out, and you hear the police car pull away. The maid and Cecile come to the room. Cecile's been crying, clearly devastated, but she's trying to hold herself together as she walks in to see the two of you here. Oh my, I'd almost forgotten.
Oh,
I'm
Cecile,
so sorry.
what's happened?
She lays out the news, heartbreakingly so. You can see that she is, and Robin, you recognize grief, honest grief, when you see it. She is stumbling through every fact as she delivers it. There's detachment, but there's also a heart-ripping sob behind every word as she tells you that her husband, she's been told, jumped to his death at the bank where he works this very morning. And she hopes you understand if maybe the plans will have to be delayed. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna sit down next to her and like put my arm around her and just go, I'm so sorry, just we're here, just whatever you need. Just we'll sit here with you.
Between
You
the
shouldn't be
three of
alone.
you, there's a prolonged moment of sympathy and compassion that builds that moment on to the point where you're able to help step her through. You work alongside the maid, trying to make sure that she eats. JD, you know, I don't know, maybe tucks the photos out of the way, trying not to draw attention to that, or how you want to deal with that. But between the three of you, there are multiple moments. So sort of montage that for me between you, if you're able. Little things that you do to make it more comfortable for the widow that you're now visiting.
Order as much ice cream as humanly possible.
More ice cream.
Yes, this is how JD copes with crying people.
With ice, frozen cow's milk.
Yes. We've already said dairy is amazing.
Yes.
So we bring snacks and sustenance to her. Helen, what's Robin's main?
So she would have sat with her for a bit, and then she would have like led her off to like a bathroom, just like freshen up and sort of like, you know, freshen up her face and stuff, and then bring her back in and just like, you know, put a blanket over her and like just sit there, get the maid to bring tea in and stuff like that, and basically just sort of listen and, you know, make reassuring noises as and when needed, not trying to do anything major, just be there really.
Okay. It's a very tense and awkward situation to walk into. So Dave, Corinne.
Here comes the comedy act. Yeah.
Knock, 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 knock.
So yes, whilst Robin and Cecile are off to freshen up, JD and the maid are left to answer the door. Let's assume that the maid's assisting. The maid is assisting. I'm going to leave JD with the awkwardness of having to answer somebody else's front door. We have the reporter and the investigator there to meet you for the first time. Spider, why don't you answer the door?
I open the door and say, hello, welcome to Miss Cecilia's house.
Hello.
She's a bit busy right now. Maybe you can come back later?
I'm afraid that we do need to speak to her.
Regarding her husband, Mr. Collin. No, it's not regarding her husband, Mr. Collin. It is Mr. Collin, isn't it?
I'm going to keep that in character. Yes, it's Mr. Colin,
No.
her husband.
Eugene takes a sip from his sip flask. Sorry about that. Let me try that all again. Yes, Mr. Collins' residence. This is Mr. Collins' residence. Is that correct?
Dear,
Yeah, excellent. Yes, we must speak with his wife regarding the events this morning at the bank. Who might you be, by the way? Are you the help?
I guess in a way I was hired for a what's it called? Spider.
It was an event that they were attending.
Photography event.
Photography.
Jesus, my brain is not working today. I'm so
Oh.
sorry.
What event was this that you were photographing?
Oh, just some auction.
Auction. What was being auctioned?
Art. Thank you very
Art.
much.
Paintings.
Yes, paintings, oil paintings.
Strange
Maybe
painting.
you've seen them.
A strange painting of someone on
Jumping
the
off
edge of a building, looking
building.
down on a crowd.
Are you investigating right now?
Yes.
Yes.
What gave
Sorry.
it away?
Sorry. That's you are correct. How incredibly rude of us. My name is yes, Eugene Kerrigan. I'm a private detective working with the bank. This is my colleague here, Nat. Did I get your last name? I don't remember if I got your last name.
My last name is Corinne Shall remember. It is Nat Lewis.
Nat Lewis. We're the crack team that's been hired to investigate this this event.
JD, who are these two?
They were just introducing themselves.
Right.
Apparently, one of them is investigating, and the other one is
This is
their
not
colleague.
this is not the time, is it?
No, it's not. But apparently, it's about the deceased.
Right.
I'm sorry, this is important.
I'm sorry. I'm not allowing you to see her. She's distraught.
Who might you be that
Yes.
you can make that decision?
you
It doesn't
okay?
matter who I am. I'm
think
making that decision.
It's
I'm sorry.
important that we
No.
do things in the proper manner.
Indeed.
We are
And you will
doing an official
return-
investigation here
You
right
will
now.
return when she is in a fit state to talk to somebody, and I will not have it any
Well,
other
so-
way. She's been through such a terrible shock already.
Perhaps you can answer some questions then.
Who
So that
are
I
we
you?
will
don't have to
answer
speak to her
questions
directly.
when I have dealt with her.
Well,
now.
who are you?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. Who are you?
This
JD,
is-
just
might
get
just
rid of
be-
them. and I'm
for
walking
all
off.
we know, you
I
are.
closed the door in their faces.
Open the door again. Because now
The
we
door-
think you guys are like the involved in the crime, just boring investigation.
The door slams shut in your faces. Robin and JD turn to look at each other, and in the background we can hear the wailing noise of the widow, Colin.
That's incredibly rude.
Outside, stunned and cut off from further investigation. At this point, cut off from the investigation leads that they have in mind. We have
I'm just gonna keep knocking on the door.
Nat and Eugene as Corinne starts pounding on the door, and we will return next week to see whether or not they can break in or otherwise gain entrance to the house.
Just gonna keep being really annoying.
Answer further questions. And I'd like to thank you all again for tuning in this week. And we will continue 1 week from now to find out more about the death of Noel Collin and the further developments of the plot.
Nice. Shall
And
I do
I
a
ask
little...
once more for all of our view on demand users, please be kind and rewind.
If you like our particular brand of chaos, then come join us on Discord if you haven't already. If you would like to get a little bit more information about how the system works, we did a session 0 last week. That is now available on YouTube. If you would like to see any of the other fare that Chaotic Neutral Games produces, that is also on YouTube. And then this week on Thursday, we have more Cloudgate Mage the Ascension. Friday, she says, looking at Corinne. Friday, Benefactor. Monday, not saying a word. And we will see you next Tuesday. Thank you all very much. Good night.
Bye.